Harris's working class problem. I saw a snippet of this article and it's lib shit. We'll look. The race is still exceedingly tight and seems likely to remain so. And there's another part of her game plan, or what should be her game plan, that does not appear to be working out so well. I refer to the need to boost support among the working class, which remains a serious weak spot for the Democrats and Harris. The latest New York Times/Siena poll has Harris trailing Trump among working class, non-college voters by 17 points. This was the framing of this article, and the ideology of its writer, if not made evident by the name of the blog, is so clear here because working class does not mean non-college educated. People who are college educated are still often working class. You know? Here, working class is being used as a synonym for uneducated, which is classist, for one, and for two, it makes it seem as though the Democrats are less supported by the working class, which is not true. The wealthy overwhelmingly support Republicans. That's identical to Biden's working class deficit in the latest New York Times poll before he dropped out, and way worse than Biden's deficit among these voters in 2020, a mere 4 points. Reopen the schools, man. Reopen the damn schools. This is a serious problem for the Democrats. College-educated America may be delighted with candidate Harris, but working-class America is clearly not. Again, this framing is, well, it's lib shit. I'll tell you that much. I think people with glasses are bourgeois. Welcome back, Pol Pot. Do you have any ideas on how to bridge the urban-rural divide? That's true, Alec Gunther. I'm really sorry, but I understand. I get accused sometimes of being classist for identifying and factually reporting on the sort of urban-rural divide and all of the educational deficits contained therein on the rural side of things. What exactly is Kamala Harris supposed to do if uneducated and stupid people are falling behind in support for her? Like, I'm genuinely asking that. Like, what do you... Like, her policies are objectively better for people who don't have a college education. That's not arguable. So it's not a policy difference. It's not like her policies are insufficient here, right? Well, I do think they're insufficient, but if you're given a choice between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, it is objectively better that Kamala Harris wins from the perspective of a person who's, like, uneducated and poor. So what the hell do you do? They're all listening to, like, conservative talk radio and watching Fox News, you know? She needs to use scary language about an outgroup. Honestly, kinda, yeah. So it's just racism? I mean, yeah. If the noble poor of America were genuinely motivated by an authentic interest in their own class position and improving it, they would vote Democrat. Or, better yet, they would be communists, who vote Democrat in a kind of, like, strategic lesser evil sort of way, but in the long-term plan to foment a proletarian revolution. Are they doing this? No, because they suck. It really is the racism thing. The New York Times data demonstrates how far apart the viewpoints of working class and college-educated Americans are today. Again, this framing, I reject it. College-educated and less educated people. Consider the following class gaps in perception. Not class. That's not a class difference. That's not... Biden's net job approval is minus 34 among high school or less educated voters, but plus 8 among college-educated voters. Trump's net favorability among uneducated voters is plus 10. Among college voters, it's minus 29. When asked which candidate would do a better job handling the issue they care about most, uneducated voters prefer Trump over Harris by 20 points, while college-educated voters prefer Harris over Trump by 15 points. This article is weird. This article is liberal. Is the U.S. not becoming more educated too? Pardon me, but not at the moment, right? This boom of everyone going to college is kind of over. Right now, college is so expensive, and nobody believes you're going to get a better job by going to college. I think that the rate of people entering into college after high school is decreasing, or at least the rate of the growth is decreasing. You know, the rate of the rate. Finally, voters were asked whether the next president should represent a major change or a minor change from Biden. Almost all voters wanted at least some change, but working class voters, i.e. less educated voters, were far more likely to want major change. Working class voters, or uneducated voters, net change preference was plus 46, but among college voters it was just plus 1. So the uneducated poor are more interested in, like, big populist messaging. I have said the Democrats should hit on that, you know, Bernie Sanders eat your heart out. Make college mandatory and free. I don't actually think it's the college education that's making the difference. They don't teach you in college to be a Democrat, you know. I think it's more of a correlative thing that going to college is a signifier of urban versus rural, or like relative wealth, or attainment or job availability. There are other things that it points to that aren't necessarily like, oh, going to college makes you a Democrat, you know? How do people think Trump would be better on the economy? Because they're stupid. That's literally it. Right now, like, one of the big red flags of the Trump presidency from an economic perspective is the promise to inflict a massive tariff on everyone, and the average American has no idea what a tariff is. There are polls going out right now where it's like, you know, how do you feel about Donald Trump's proposed tariff on goods from on foreign goods? And Americans are like, yeah, that sounds cool because we'd like get American-made products. And then you ask the same voters, you know, how do you feel about paying more for the goods that you get that come from foreign countries? They're like, no, I don't want that. So yeah, funny rhetorician. Unfortunately, like, it is one of the like big stumbling blocks where sympathy can only take you so far, but past a point, unfortunately, like, it is an objective fact. It's not even like a framing thing. It is an objective fact that one of the big stumbling blocks we have is that a lot of the people that we're dealing with are just stupid, racist, like, rural folk. And that's it. I'm sorry. You just gotta accept it, man. You can like, oh, I don't like your framing. Well, I don't want to sell you bullshit. I don't want to lie to you. They've got, like, I'm not gonna, like, yeah, I speak straight when I'm talking about, like, black crime rates. You think I'm going to start getting tender when I'm talking about white Appalachian racists? You like, I'm like, yeah, man, let's talk straight about this social issue and this social issue, and then we're talking about poor rural white people, and it's like, well, you know, I don't want to be like, you know, I don't want to be classist by pointing out all these objective facts. It's like, man, Jesus. Again, it's not an essentialist thing. It's just like, holy shit, it's an issue. People get so mad when I do this, but then I'm like, oh yeah, Israelis, Hitlerites, Russians, Hitlerites. I talk about like Wahhabist Muslims in London or Germany. I'm like, these motherfuckers actually do need to integrate, because they're out there like having rallies where they're calling for Sharia law, and I actually do think there are like levels of acceptability here that you're breaching. I talk straight in all these issues. I don't get mad emails over it. But then we talk about Appalachia, and all of a sudden, all right, I'll stop bemoaning this point. You know, people get mad at me. They say, oh, he grew up in Beverly Hills. Yeah, the mean streets of Beverly Hills. Yeah. You have any idea how rough it was out there? You could be walking around enjoying a casual nighttime stroll safely at 2 to 3 a.m. And then what happens? An officer pulls up next to you. He tips his hat and he says, you doing all right tonight? You safe? All right. Then they drive on. You grow up having to deal with that? Yeah. You get a pretty straight shooting way of looking at the world. Yeah, pretty hardcore, I know. What do you do when a Beverly Hills liberal looks at you? Liberal? Beverly Hills votes red. Rich people vote conservative. Oh yeah, for sure, Annie. Like, southern cities are fine, you know? It's just, I've been to Beverly Hills. It's very underwhelming. Oh, it is. Yeah, for sure.